All right. Hello, 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 and welcome to the Penguins Collective Podcast. My name is Louie. Josh will be here in a second, and I'm just taking a look at everything. Welcome to a post Jake Gensel world. The Penguins faced off against the Boston Bruins today and lost. Yeah, that's right. Lost 5-1. And this is the new Penguins. This is the new Pittsburgh Penguins we got to get used to for a bit as we move forward. Bunting had a surprisingly good start, but we'll get into that in a moment. I want to just say thank you guys for joining us live, whether you're on YouTube, you're on X, or you're on Twitch. I appreciate if you're live there. Or if you are listening at a later time, whether it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever you listen to your favorite podcast, I appreciate it. Josh, I can see just for everyone to understand. So I'm live, ready to go. Josh is on our screen to her left. He's struggling with audio so bad today. So he's here. He's just struggling to get on. So we got to just be a little patient. But what is going on, everyone? Hello, Josiah. Hello, everyone. Today, the Pittsburgh Penguins, like I said before, fall to the Boston Bruins 5-1. And it is not looking great. It's not looking great. We got devastated on Thursday against the I'm saying a lot, and I gotta calm that down. We got beat by the honestly, I don't even remember, Washington Capitals. We got beat by Washington 6-0. And they were deflated, obviously, because of the whole Jake Gensel news. Jake Gensel got traded to the Carolina Hurricanes, and since then, the Penguins have been deflated. Coming in today's game, little different. We came out a little stronger. We came out a little. Oh, there's my dog. If you haven't seen it yet, she's just chilling. Struggling. Last game. This game, a lot better. Playing a lot faster, a lot stronger, and just took our foot off the gas on the second period. After a 0-0 first period, we played against them well. We came out strong. We came out fast. Bunting looked good in the first period, but unfortunately in the second period, we just kind of took the foot off the gas, and we sucked. I'm going to test out this with Josh here. Give me 1 second. Josh. Okay, we cannot hear Josh. Go into your settings and make sure the audio in is your computer or your mic, your Shure mic. Okay, I don't know what's happening there. So, okay. Josh is just going to provide some he's gone. Never mind. He's gone. He's out of here. We'll work through it, okay? Just like the Penguins, we're gonna. It's a little rough. It's a little rough right now. But back to the game. Penguins came out in the second, not as strong, not as fast, and the Bruins just kind of got their momentum going. Got 3 goals. And then, of course, in the third period, once again, the Penguins not coming out fast, not coming out strong. They get one, they get a goal, but there's nothing to kind of salvage this game. And they get 2 more, not even an empty netter, they just score. So it's 5-1, and the Penguins lose. And in 2 games, We let in 11 goals. So it's not looking sharp for the Pittsburgh Penguins at all going forward. But there is some silver lining. Once again, Bunting looked good. I know he's not a Jake Ensel. I know he's not scoring, but he had a breakaway. He had some shots. He came out flying, which is something we should kind of celebrate a little bit, kind of come together and root for him because he played really well. He played as hard as he could today against he's got a gel, and they're in our Discord. If you're new to this podcast and want to join a community of Penguins fans, we have a Discord. So we talk during the game, we talk during the week. Make sure you get on Discord /the Penguins Collective. But there was a comment saying, man, they are just kind of passing all over the place. They're not really connecting. And it's because they need time to gel. They have to gel together. And it's their first game. So we have to give them a little bit of credit. But once again, the Penguins just look a bit rough. It's not looking great for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I got to be completely honest. Not looking good. Penguins are struggling. We talked about this, Josh and I, before. We're kind of done. The season is over. The season is kind of done. We have 20 games now? 22, 21. What's today? The 62. We got 20 games left. 20 games to try to make a push for the playoffs. And after seeing some interviews from Mike Sullivan and Kyle Dubas, they believe that this Pittsburgh Penguins team can make the playoffs. Now, I don't know about you, but the last two games, Washington and tonight, do not look like playoff hockey teams. Not even in the AHL. So I don't know what they're thinking. Clearly, Kyle Dubas has said that for his press conference. Hold on, here we go.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Oh, thank God.
I can hear you now. Wow. 12 minutes in, you were fighting a battle of your own over there.
Unreal. And the 5 minutes leading up, too. So, I mean, I've been at this for like 17 minutes. Unreal.
Well, I appreciate you battling. The Penguins didn't. And like I said, I was just saying that Kyle Dubas and Mike Sullivan, being interviewed after the trade, said that this team could make the playoffs.
Yeah.
We're currently 70 games out. And now 8, I guess, if you want to really break it down. 8 games out. We have 20 games left to go. Okay, Josh, you're super quiet.
Super quiet.
Wait, now you're I'll raise you up. You raise me up. All right, thanks,
so
Angry Boot in the
I
chat.
can soar.
Wait, is it
so I can stand on mountains?
I don't know. Josh Groban, what is it? He watches this podcast,
right? Everyone does.
Everyone does.
Angry Boot, am I better? Please let me know. It's bad enough that I'm 15 minutes late to this. Jeez. Thank you. Perfect.
Jeez,
okay.
Louis.
All right.
Okay.
So
great.
Do you want to keep going? I don't want to interrupt what you were.
No. All I was saying is that Kyle Dubas, and I am so sorry for the people who are listening on the audio side. I feel like we keep on letting you down. So thanks so much for sticking around with us. But I was just telling them that in the presser after the trade, that Kyle Dubas said that this team can make the playoffs. And then today, before the game, Mike Sullivan said that this team, with Bunting, can make the playoffs. And then it's almost as if TNT or ABC was laughing at the Penguins because they were like, well, they got a tall mountain to climb, like they showed the graphic. We're last in the wild card.
The hunt. Yeah.
In the hunt for the wild card. And we got 7 games, which is 14 points to get back into the first there. So Josh, does this team look like a playoff team? Does this team with Bunting as a new addition, does this hockey team look good for the playoffs after Washington and Boston?
Yeah, so stop me if I'm, you know, saying exactly what you were saying, but the first period looked good. Michael
Yes. Yeah.
Bunting looked
Great.
half decent. He's
Yeah.
no Jake Gensel, that's for sure, but I don't think
Yeah.
it would have been fair to him to expect Jake Gensel results immediately. If he can
Right.
score a couple goals here down the stretch for us, that'd be great. I would love that. But I mean, at the same time, you know, it's hard. It's hard. This team has ABC was right. It is a mountain to climb in terms of trying to make a wild card for
Yes.
for the playoffs. So there's going to be needs to be a lot better play.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't see Sidney Crosby get a goal in the last. I mean, excuse me, a shot in the last 3 minutes. But the shift where there was about 3 minutes left, they said that he didn't even register a shot on goal. So
For the whole game. Yeah.
for the whole game, so only the second time this season that Crosby didn't record a shot on goal, and I don't know if that means he's given up. I don't know, because the thing is, we've talked about it. Kyle Dubas has talked about it. Um, Coach Harkins has talked about it.
Yeah.
The leadership starts with him in the locker room. We can say
Yeah.
what we want about Mike Sullivan, but the leadership starts with him. So if he's going to say 14 points, we're out. We're done. Pack it up. The team's going to follow.
Yeah.
So and that's the reason why there's a C on his chest. Everyone follows his lead, and rightfully so. He's earned it. He's that good. But the thing is, I don't know what their mentality is. Tonight was going to be a
Mm-hmm.
tough game. Tomorrow's going to be another tough game. How do they respond, to the better teams when they're facing them? First period, I thought were the aggressors. They were the ones with the zone control, with the nice passing.
Yeah.
Sure, should it registered more shots in the first period?
Yeah.
I would have loved it, but at the same time, hey, we ended the game with over 40 shots again. So
Yeah. I mean, it
can't
looked good.
yeah, and it did, and that's the thing. In the first power play, like to end the period, I mean, you had all the momentum. You looked good all period, and then sure enough, and once the power play started, we pooped the bed. We had such a good opportunity right there to
Well,
get a goal, but
like I said, I think the Pens took the foot off the gas once again, which they've been doing all season. So it didn't
sure.
surprise me when the second period came on, and I was like, oh, here we go again, And then when they scored 3 at the end, I was like, I don't know if the Penguins have the tenacity to come back. And I was right, because the Penguins just kind of rolled over. They got 2 more. Yeah, Letang got a goal, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough.
Well,
We needed
when it
4
was
more goals.
3-0 and Letang scored that one, there was a little
Yes, that's
juice
correct.
afterwards, which was nice to see. But the thing is, that's got to generate good scoring chances and goals, and it didn't. And that's what resulted in more goals for Boston, and inevitably a 5-1 win.
5-1 loss, yeah.
And I don't know if you mentioned it. That's 6 goals. And
11 goals in the last 2 games.
11 goals, excuse me. Yeah, because I was going to say it was 6 goals.
I said
5.
that. So
yeah,
it's rough for the Penguins right now. And I said this, you guys got to get used to it. This is the new Penguins as of right now, and it's
for
going
season.
For the season, for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Get used to it. Now, I honestly believe that in the next 2 games, we're going to know if we're making the playoffs or not. Let's say there's a glimmer of hope that we can make the playoffs going forward. Let's say there's a glimmer of hope. We would need to win Edmonton tomorrow, which is Sunday at 1:00, or then what? Not San Jose, Ottawa on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So if we win both those games, I'm like, okay, all right, hey, that's some momentum. Let's see where that takes us. But if we lose the next 2 games, oh, we're done. We're dead in the
Yeah.
water. Like dead. We're kind of dead right now, but we're dead, you know.
Yeah.
I
I've
know
said that I don't.
Armand in the chat. Hey, first of all, hello. Second of all, I don't believe they make the playoffs. I agree with you, Armand. I don't think they make it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Josh.
Now, I've been saying they're not going to make the playoffs, but with
Since
what
like a
you're
month
saying in
ago.
terms of what's that?
I said since a month ago you've been saying that.
Yeah, but with what you're saying in terms of the schedule, if they want to try and make a push, I don't think they're going to count Edmonton. I think it's going to start on Tuesday with Ottawa because Ottawa is a beatable team, and even though we traded away Gensel, even though we're down in the dumps, I think that is a team that the Penguins can beat. And then Thursday, as Armand pointed out, we play San Jose. And that's another team that is very beatable. If we don't beat those 2 teams, I think that says a lot more about the season than it does against Edmonton. Because Edmonton, that's the type of game where it's like, yeah, they're the better team by a mile. Like we should have lost. But
Sure.
I think the real gauge on if they're going to try and make any type of push is
Ottawa,
going to be
San Jose.
Ottawa, San Jose. Yeah, absolutely. But we'll see. Tomorrow should be interesting because we'll be home. So
we'll be home. We'll be home at a 1:00 start. Shoon Dog, welcome to the pod.
Nice. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining. Let's throw his thing up there. Sorry, Armand, we didn't throw up yours. Shoon Dog said, "Awful trade, boys. Glad we can cry together." Yeah, man, it was a rough trade. I mean, I want to say something quick about Bunting. He didn't ask to be here. Okay, he got traded here. So we can't be harsh on him when he's not Jake Gensel.
He does have a no trade clause, so he did have to waive it. Which
okay, why would you
say no? Yeah, why would you say no to Pittsburgh?
Correct. If somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, would you go to Carolina?" I'm like, I mean, well, no, that's not a good comparison because Carolina's good this year. Give me a team that's not really great this year.
Columbus?
Just this year. Columbus has been bad. Give me a team that's
Washington.
Yeah, well, that's a rival. I wouldn't want to go there personally.
Oh.
But
right, well,
let's. Give me. I'll just try to pick a Edmonton. Let's just pick.
They're great though.
Crap, Josh. You're not helping this thing.
Calgary.
Give me. Sure. Yeah,
Dallas.
but I don't want to go to Canada. Anyway, so Dallas. Dallas, Josh. Let's go to Dallas.
Arizona.
Man, I do not want to go to Canada. Arizona. There we go. Give me Arizona. If they said, "Hey, you want to go to Arizona?" I'm like, yeah, I'll go there. It's some fun vibes there. I'll go. There's some good players. Let's go. And that's what he did. Hey, do you want to go to Pittsburgh? Yeah, I mean, I'll play with Sidney Crosby. Yeah, am I on the first line? Yeah, I'm gonna go there. And I think that's what he kind of came down to. I know I'm gonna play in the first line. I'm gonna play with Sidney Crosby. I'm gonna get better. Yes, and I know I'm gonna get better. So we can't be so harsh on him. We can't be harsh on him. He got brought in here, and hey, he didn't look bad his first couple shifts. He was taking shots. He understood the assignment. Get shots on net. The only thing he didn't do, which he does in Carolina, is that he wasn't in front of the net.
He was on the power play.
On the power play, but he wasn't on the net during 5-on-5, which
I also
something
felt like there wasn't enough time for him. Well,
they need to start setting it up so that he can go down. And I feel like that's the point of Bunting. So if I'm Sullivan, I'm gonna tell Sid, get into the zone and set up. Let Bunting get in front because I want to see what he can do. And to your point about the first power play, they didn't look bad. They had momentum going into the second period. It's just that they didn't capitalize on it. Yes. So let's not get too hasty on Bunting. I like the way he looked today. I understand he's not Jake Gensel, but if Bunting can be a guy like Patrick Hornquist, I'm willing to take that trade. But it's only if he can do what Patrick Hornquist did. Let me just say that. Josh, let's talk about the trade deadline.
Yeah. So the
All yours.
Dubas, in addition to the Gensel trade that we talked about on Thursday night, he did make a couple of trades for on the trade deadline day. Traded away Chad Ruedel, traded away Magnus Hellberg.
Correct?
Yeah. So those two trades, not surprising to me because their contracts were expiring. I felt like he was going to do that anyway. Whether the price was good or bad, if there was someone on an expiring contract, he was going to trade them. Literally, I believe the only person that he did not trade that's on an expiring contract is Jansen Harkins, which he got hurt. So I don't know if that impacted anything. So the thing is, that was probably going to be his game plan anyway. Expiring contracts, gone. And retool in the offseason. So then you have all offseason with this team that you see out there on the ice, in addition to anyone else that they bring, and go for it for this year. So, I did leave out Jeff Carter expiring contract. But let's be honest, he's definitely not coming back, and he's probably just going to retire. Just being,
that's most likely what's going to happen. How Penguin would it be if he was like, I'll do one more year with the Pens?
No, I'd hate that. But whatever. And then
be on par for the season.
After the trade deadline, Dubas had his press conference.
Yes.
First issue I have with that is the fact that he only did it for like 15 minutes because they had to catch a flight
for Boston.
For Boston
for this game.
I'm sorry, that's poor planning. Like, someone should have been like, hey,
we'll hold a press conference in Boston. I don't care.
Yeah, do something different. Do something different, or don't even have a press conference. I don't care, or whatever. I don't know. I can't think of any other solutions right now. But I just had an issue with it was only being 15, 20 minutes because I felt like they could have asked better questions, and I felt like the media was also like aware of it and like pressed for time because like it sounded like they were like speed reading their questions, But the one thing that like I caught when he was talking about that is because we were talking about Riley Smith. We wanted a fire sale. We wanted everyone gone. I shouldn't say we, but like there was a lot of fanfare.
No, we wanted a fire sale.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent. And there was a lot of fanfare that wanted a fire sale. Everyone gone. Smith, Raquel, take calls on Rust, all that. But he made a good point. The price of those players were too low. Jason Zucker, who is playing half decent in Arizona, he got traded for a 6th round draft pick. So if someone
with no salary retained.
Yeah, exactly. So with someone like Raquel and Smith, who are underperforming this year, you're telling me that we would have gotten better than a 6th round draft pick? I don't know. And Dubas realized that and said, no, we're going to wait until the offseason. If those guys want to make a call for us, that price is going to be higher because then the salary cap is higher. They'll be able to take the full salary and give a good return for that. So, yes, we didn't get what we wanted in terms of a fire sale, but I think it's going to work out in our favor. And I think it also works for Crosby because there was one comment I saw on Twitter that I kind of agree with.
Uh-oh.
I don't care about the other players on this team. If they're on board or if they're not on board, there is only one person that we should be caring about, and that's Crosby. And if Crosby is all for this, if he wants these guys and wants to make a push, then we should be excited and we should want to make a push because that's what this team circles around. And granted, I felt like Dubas could have done more to try and re-sign Gensel. I'm like really torn on this Gensel thing because at the same time, like I feel like he should have tried harder, but at the same time, how do you afford all these contracts?
So, but did you
So
hear the question? Speaking of those media guys asking a super quick question,
about
they
how he
asked,
only
talked once,
negotiated before the season started.
and that was it.
That was it. That's stupid.
That is bad general managing. I'll be. That means Kyle Dubas already knew he's going to trade him this
But
season.
here's my thing too. Did you hear
Yeah.
how he phrased that though? Said Jake Gensel's representation. So was it the representation refusing to speak with Dubas throughout
I
the
think that
season?
I honestly, so that's a good pickup because if you just take the surface level of we only talked once, man, GM bad. But if you're like his representatives, I said, hey, this is what we're thinking. They said no,
And
and
no
that was it.
counter. And
No
yeah,
counter. That's it. There's not much I can do because
yeah.
I'm not going to lower my price and hope that it or raise my price and
Mm-hmm.
it suits them maybe. That's
Yeah.
kind of so
Because
that means Jake
here's my
Gensel kind of was ready to move on.
here's my thought process with it. Jake in the beginning of the season said he wanted to stay. He was hopeful that they were going to get a contract done. They didn't. Okay. Kyle Dubas understands that the player needs to focus on the game. Get that. He
Yep.
feels like, okay, I'm not going to trade Jake. I'm going to wait until the All-Star game. We're going to renegotiate with Jake's representation. We'll hopefully get a deal done. I think the
Yeah.
All-Star game week came and uh, there was the Jake's representation refused to speak with Dubas, and that literally made Dubas decide, yeah, I have to trade him. Because if I'm the GM and you're only talking to him in the beginning of the season, now I'm just saying, like, if this was Dubas's doing, if
Yeah.
this was Dubas saying, okay, we only talked once in the beginning of the year, how do you not trade him in the beginning of the year when his value is through the roof and you can
Yeah.
get multiple first, multiple multiple prospects and
Prospects.
NHL ready players? How do you not do that early on? I get it. You think you can make one last ride, one last push, but then at All-Star break, how do you not make a trade? Because you think you can get a deal done and he wasn't. And then that's like, okay, that's the nail in the coffin on this. We'll trade
Yeah.
him. So I don't know. I was really torn on it, but like, yeah, those were little snippets that I caught of the press conference. And Armand,
I was
great
about to talk about this. Go ahead.
comment.
Go ahead.
Yeah, on the broadcast, they said Dubas drove to Jake's house and told him in person he was traded to the Canes. And see, and that's a good GM move because this is his first year with the Penguins. He doesn't have the rapport and the chemistry with Jake
With Jake.
that, Sid, Gino, Letang, Sullivan, those guys have with him. So, but he still understood the importance of him to this team and to the community. And he said, I'm making that call. And I'm not making it to the representative. I'm doing it to
going
Jake.
directly. He's going to say, hey, man, I got to trade you.
Yeah.
And Mark Madden said something on Twitter that kind of was smart. And once again, I'm paraphrasing. He said, like, if Jake didn't know he was getting traded until the day of, that's just downright stupid. Like, of course Jake knew he was going.
Yeah.
Like, he knew from his representatives. He knew clearly they weren't working to get a deal.
Yeah.
So, maybe the representatives got a little greedy and said, dude, they're not going to trade you. They're going to wait until the offseason, and then that's when we ask for a high price. And
maybe
that's exactly what happened. And Dubas was like, yeah, I'm not playing that game. I'm going to trade some for you. And I also think it was the same thing that we said during trade night stream, which was I think Dubas overplayed his hand. He got where he said, "Oh, I have, we're good," and he was probably shopping, and the sale ended, and then people moved on, and he was like, "I guess I'll take that." So I feel that's exactly what happened. Not that bunting is horrible, but it's rough. It's honestly rough, and
Well,
it is.
I
Go
would
ahead.
bet good money that bunting was always in. If the deal was going to be with the Hurricanes, that was
Bunting
always
was
going to
always
be
a
a
part of it.
part of it because he had him in Toronto. It sounds like he's very fond of him. And then that one prospect, did you hear in the press conference? He said that he had him highly ranked in the overall
Yes,
prospect pool. So I think it was the
the
Swedish
Finland
guy,
guy
the
or the
Finnish guy.
Swedish
Yeah,
guy. Yeah, what
whichever ish he
whatever
is.
Europe country that guy's from, he
Yeah,
liked them,
yeah.
and it was great. I mean, it wasn't great. It was a good press conference because um it was. I honestly didn't mind it being quick. The only thing I didn't mind is the horrible answers that he gave, where it was like,
Mm.
"Oh, with Jake, how did you do? Oh, we just kind of it was a tough decision and we got to figure things out." I'm like, no, 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 no. The season's done. Why didn't you do more? Like I feel like no one asked that. No one's asking these questions. And he gave these answers like, oh, I gotta, if we don't compete or whatever, that's on me. I gotta own up to it. I'm like, I get you said that before in your last press conference. That's
Yeah.
not what I'm interested in anymore. I'm interested in what's going on with the Penguins moving forward. And all you can say is I got some late round draft picks and I got bunting and a couple prospects, and that's what you're happy with? If you really wanted to make a push for the playoffs, why didn't we have a fire sale? And I know a lot.
Well, because if you make a fire sale, you're not making a push for the playoffs.
No, I
Because
know, but I'm saying
he still believes that this team can make a push. That's why he didn't
no,
trade
no.
off everyone.
I get that, but what I'm saying is, why didn't he go out and get someone?
Because we need to retain the assets that we have.
Right, but I'm just saying, if we're going to trade away Jake Gensel, why wasn't there a push to get someone better than Michael Bunting in prospects? If
There
we
probably
truly,
there
if
probably
we
was.
truly believed that we were going to make the playoffs, okay, we sold Jake Gensel. Let's be honest, that's what we
Mhm.
did. We sold Jake Gensel, but why didn't we go out and get someone if we truly believe we can make the playoffs?
Because again, it's he's trying to do two things at once. He's trying to win now and build for the future. And by doing so, you can't trade off your assets, which are your future, to bring in talent at the trade deadline to make a late push.
Right.
I think if we were closer, he may have. However, he was always going to trade Jake. It was
No,
just a
that
matter,
I
yeah,
know.
but
I'm
it's just a
saying, why
matter
didn't
of
we? Why
who
didn't
else.
we?
Sorry, there must be a delay. Who else would he have gotten if we
Gosh
weren't
darn.
gonna make the playoffs?
Yes, and I know we were always going to trade Jake, and I know that. But what I'm saying is, if we truly believe we were going to make a playoff, why didn't we add like Riley Smith to that deal and get someone else who's NHL ready?
No one
That
wanted
wouldn't
him.
be selling. That would
No one
not be
wanted him
selling. That's what we don't know. And that's the questions that no one asked. It was like, was anyone else up for the off? Like, and he was just like, no one asked that question. Were you
because
shopping anyone else?
that's
No.
a hard thing to be up there and literally verbalize. Yeah, I tried trading X, Y, and Z. Because then
I
those
know.
players hear that and they're like, "This guy's trying to
But
get rid of me."
he already said that to a degree in his presser last time. He said everyone's available technically.
That is true.
So why
Well,
didn't, if that's the case? No, he said there's a lot of rumors out there, and
he
somebody
said
asked him about
yeah. He
the
said he'll
core.
take calls on everyone. That's his
He'll take
job.
calls down on everyone. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So if I'm him or if I'm media, why I would raise my hand and go, was anyone else up for sale, or did you look into anyone else, or why didn't we try to go get Kuznetsov? Because that was cheap. That was a third round draft pick. Why didn't we go? We just got it in the Jake Gensel trade. Why didn't we throw the 5th round draft pick up to him and get Kuznetsov? Why not?
That's fair. That's fair.
But we didn't. Why? And that's all. That's the only thing I'm trying to say, is because we can easily just say, yeah, we want to keep what we got and make a push. Jason Zucker went for a 3rd round. That was 6th round, if that was their price, go get him. Bring him back to Pittsburgh. What's the worst thing that can happen? He succeeds on the second line like he did before he left. He knows the system. He knows how to compete in the system. Bring him back. That would have been the smartest move ever. He was so cheap. Imagine if we got Zucker and Kuznetsov, Bunting, and the Jake Gensel trade. I think people would have been content.
Yeah.
I know the problem is, hey, we're an old team. And I get that. But we traded for Michael Bunting, who's the same age as Jake.
Yeah, essentially. Mm-hmm.
He's 1 year younger. I mean, it doesn't matter. My thing is, it's not like we got this young guy who's going to be the future. We got Michael Bunting. No offense, Michael. I'm just saying. For Jake Gensel. The broadcast knew that everyone was sad that Jake got traded. The whole milkshake factory had a banner raising in their store for Jake. Everyone knows the impact that Jake Gensel had on the Pittsburgh Penguins. You don't make a trade like that and then not do anything else and say, we believe we can make the playoffs. What are you talking about, man? Go get Zucker for a 6th round draft pick. I would be content giving away a 3rd round draft pick for Zucker this season. You know he loves it in Pittsburgh. He was sad that he had to go last season. Bring him back. Bring him back. He's cheap. Bring him back.
Pull up Armand's his latest comment. I disagree with this. He's saying if they were making a push for the playoffs, Jake would not have been traded and he would have had limited cap space. I hear you, but in the press conference, he said at the trade deadline, Jake was our only asset. I don't know. I think he would have traded him regardless. I think as long as he wasn't going to re-sign, he was going to trade him. I think the writing was on the wall come trade deadline, come All-Star game, when there was no communication, writing was on the wall that there was going to be a trade. Because, again, he's trying to do 2 things at once. He's trying to win a cup with the core still here, and he's trying to prepare for the future after the core. So I truly believe that he would have definitely sent Jake if we were still trying to make a playoff push. And I wouldn't have been upset if he made a call about Hurdle. But again, I don't know if we would have had the assets that Dubas was willing to release to get rid of in order to get Tomas Hurdle. Because yes, he's a name, but he's also very good. Like, there were certain players that were dealt at the trade deadline that had names like Tarasenko and Kuznetsov and those types of guys, but you saw the return not be so great because you're more so trading for their name at this point because, yes, they're still decent, but they're not what they used to be. So you're paying for the name. Hurdle can still play, so you're paying for a combination with him of talent and name. So, you hit the nail on the head with everything with Jason Zucker. I didn't really think about it when the trade went down. That because of how cheap it was, that was something that maybe Dubas could have done. But at the same time, maybe Sullivan didn't want him back. Maybe they did reach. There's so many options that could have went down on trade deadline that we don't know about.
I get it, but my whole point about the presser is that no one pushed and no real answers came out.
You're not going to. You're not going to see it from them.
I understand, but I'm just saying it was so rushed that I don't think we had time for a true answer to be like, oh yeah, I was calling all over the place.
Yeah.
And honestly, but do we know? We don't. And it's not like you were saying, like, oh, we're trading the whole entire team. That's not even saying that. It's just saying like, oh yeah, I was making calls. No one asked him that. Everyone just said, oh, our only asset was really Jake Gensel. Okay, but were you calling about we traded away Ruedel for a 7th-round draft pick. Flip that 7th-round draft pick. Go get Zucker.
I think reading between his comments, I think he was making calls about the other guys because he was saying how the price was so low on the players who still had term. So I think he was referring to Raquel, Rust, Smith, those types of guys, Jari. I think he was referring to them because he knows that they've all underperformed this year. So the value already is going to be low. And now you do it at the trade deadline where the value on everyone is already low. He didn't like the return. So now, since they have term, you try it again in the offseason. If you still don't like the value, you try it again next trade deadline. And he mentioned that. And I think that's smart. Like, don't sell these guys early and for cheap. I think we're going to be okay. I think everyone's going to be everyone is upset right now because our child got traded. Okay? Like, we drafted him. There's a lot of people that are even more upset about it because he's American, which I think is a little outrageous.
I haven't seen anything like that.
If you dive deep into Twitter on it, it's hilarious.
I didn't see that. All I saw was, like, our baby boy. That kind of
that's the thing. Yeah,
it's that.
It's we drafted him, we developed him. Partly, I mean, that's some God-given talent as well. But I mean, we developed him. He succeeded on our team, and then for him to go, I think that's what everyone is so upset about. But let's let the dust settle. Let's get to the off season. Let's see what happens. Let's see who's out there. Let's see who he brings in, and then in turn, who he trades away, and let's reevaluate all of this come September, October, when we have the final roster to start the 2024-2025 season.
And I think that's a great place to kind of end it here because we have an episode tomorrow too.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh Penguins are facing off the Edmonton Oilers at 1:00 tomorrow. All right, it's a home game, so maybe they'll have an in-depth more conversation about what happened during the trade deadline. Probably not. Yeah. But Josh is entirely right. Off season. That's where I think his head is at. He's going to get rid of a bunch of contracts, and he's going to hopefully try to make this team a Stanley Cup team by next season. Because once 100%. Again, I've had the conversation with a bunch of people personally. They go, this team is done. We're not going to see anything until 2025. Like, what are you talking? 2026. So, you know what I mean?
2025, 2026. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't think so. I'm like, it's Sidney Crosby. Like, every year we have a chance to win the cup. It's Sidney Crosby. If we get the right guys, we could get 3 right guys in the lineup, and we can win the cup. So,
absolutely,
our goaltending is solid. We have great defensemen. Yes, I know. Our goaltending is solid. But
it's just
Ned kept us in.
Be gone. He's going to be gone.
Will he or will he not? So we won't know until the end of the trade deadline. Until the offseason. Remember, when we were good, right, when we were playing well, Nedeljkovic and Jari had the highest save percentage as a duo.
In top 5
in the NHL. And they led the league in shutouts in the first 3 months of the season. Mm-hmm. So you need to remember we have a good goaltending duo. It's just about the defensemen and remember, our penalty kills sucked in the beginning of the season, but now it's kind of leveled out. Our power play sucked in the beginning of the season and still sucks. So it's always been that way, and I think that just goes to show that we need to find some pieces in the offseason. But like Josh said, we got to wait until then. We have a game tomorrow. Oilers, 1 p.m. Sunday. We'll see you after the show. Don't forget to follow us on all our social medias. It's at Pens Collective on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, everywhere. Discord / the Penguins Collective. Make sure you get on there. We talk during the game and after the game. Make sure you log in. It's great. We have about 20 people on there. Let's grow it. Let's keep it growing. And make sure you go on YouTube and hit that notification bell, because when we go live, I want to see your pretty little icon in the chats. So make sure you get there. Guys, thank you for joining this episode. We'll see you in the next episode. And Josh, as always,
let's go Pens. Stay tuned. We're up to something.